A group of people want to get together and search for my sister. We don't know where to search for start at. We just feel like she's still alive. We don't know where to go. We don't know what to do.
As you could see from that video clip, even the sister of the missing person has such little detail about what's going on in this case. If she could get a group together, they don't know where they'd even begin to search. This is a tough case on many fronts. I want to thank everyone that reached out. There was so many of you that suggested it. I looked at it and I'm like, there's not a whole lot of information, but I could also see why you guys thought this case needs some help. We got to raise exposure, get some eyes, ears, and hearts open and looking for Monisha. So that's what we're going to be doing here today. I hope you guys will help me. This case really, really needs it. It's time to turn on the searchlight for Monisha Leath. Welcome back to Brainscratch Searchlight. I'm John Lorden. Thank you so much for caring about these cases like I do. Let's go ahead and get started trying to find some information on this case. As always, we're going to have numerous pictures of the missing person, Monisha Leath, scrolling below me so that you can get a good sense of what she looks like. I'm really conflicted about this case because it feels like if I was covering this case a few years ago, I would kind of understand the very limited information that's coming from law enforcement. In a post-Gabby Petito world, I'm not sure I understand it. There is such little information, but they're asking for the public's help, and it's one of those cases where we don't know how to help them exactly. We're going to do our best here just by going through the basics, starting at trying to find a profile for this. The Charlie Project, you can see in the search box here, Monisha Leath, no profile. NamUs, no profile. So we're going to have to go off what we can find, mainly posters that we can find online. We do have a post here from the Floyd County Police Department with some details, and then try to roll it in with additional details that was found through the media as the time has passed. This is a fairly recent disappearance. We can see Monisha has been missing since February 24th, 2022 from Rome, Georgia. Monisha Sheree Leath, age 32, a black female, medium complexion. Here they have her height listed at 5 feet 5 inches tall. I'm seeing it vary just a little bit between that and 5'7" on some other articles. Weight, 160 pounds. I'm also seeing that vary a little bit up to 180. Brown hair. It is short, and also brown eyes. Location last seen. Monisha was last seen around 2 p.m. on Thursday, February 24th, 2022, near Rome, Georgia, Floyd County, and the Polk County line. So basically the separation right between those two counties. We don't know exactly what that sighting is, why they know it's that county line. I don't know, is there a toll booth that they caught a vehicle on or something along those lines? But that is all the information we have for the last sighting. As you can see here, we don't even have a clothing description for her. Of course, they have contact information. We've got the number for the GBI on the screen. That's the place that you're going to want to call if you have any information on this case, especially for where it's at now. This is a case that does have an arrest that has happened in it, but we still don't know where Monisha is. Let's go ahead and learn about where this is happening, starting at Wikipedia. And all the posters are basically saying that she went missing from Rome, Georgia. However, I believe she was living kind of close to that area, but not directly in Rome. Rome is the largest city in and the county seat of Floyd County, Georgia, United States, located in the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains. At the 2020 census, the city had a population of 37,713. The city was developed on 7 hills with the rivers running between them, a feature that inspired the early European American settlers to name it for Rome, the longtime capital of Italy that was also built on 7 hills. I believe at the time Monisha is actually living in this area, which is Cedartown, Georgia, fairly close to Rome, but this population around 10,000 people. Taking a look at Monisha's Facebook page, we're seeing a lot of messages, particularly a lot of messages that were sent around Mother's Day. Yes, she's also a mother of 3 children. Going through her Facebook page, I can tell you that it certainly seems like her children were a pretty big focus in her life, as well as just being supportive of her family. But here on May 8th, we have a message from Rhonda Slack that says, "Happy Heavenly Mother's Day. We love you and miss you so much. God has one of the most sweetest angels up in heaven." And what's pretty clear from that message is we do believe that Monisha might have been murdered. Law enforcement has been pretty strong about that. We're going to get to those details as we go forward. And it's just another touch on these types of cases. I think the media is bringing more of these cases to the forefront now. I'm seeing that as a positive trend in terms of the media trying to help in these kind of domestic violence related cases. There's also elements of travel that are associated with this case, but we're not getting the detail really from law enforcement's side to capitalize on that level of attention. Like I said, this is a post Gabby Petito world at this point. Look at all the amazing things that not just major media, but social media was able to help with in that case. Here we are, we've got a bunch of people at the ready looking to help on this case, and we just don't quite have the details. I know I keep harping on it, but I'll show you why as we're going through the articles. Let's start at fox5atlanta.com. This one from February 26, 2022. Police search for missing woman. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation and Cedartown Police are seeking the public's help as they continue to search for Monisha Sheree Leath, 32 years old. Anyone with information should call the GBI. And once again, we've already got their number on the screen down below. Kind of standard for an initial call of help on a missing persons case like this. But let's go ahead and get another update from polktoday.com. The hours continue to tick away, and there's still no sign of Monisha Leath. Cedartown Police Chief Jamie Newsom said this morning that there have been no substantial updates, no information he could share at this time about exactly where Leath was headed, when she was last seen near the Polk-Floyd County lines on February 24th, and no description of her clothing at the time as well. Another thing that I would call out here is if it was in a vehicle, at least a description of the vehicle. Like, we don't even have that. We're asking people to remember back, a few months at this point for information that might be helpful in this case. But what are we asking them to remember outside of the photos that are scrolling right below me? Like, how else could someone get their memory hooked into this story and be able to help without a description of, we know she was traveling in a vehicle. It was this type of vehicle. It went from this area to that area. I don't know that a vehicle description like that would really harm the investigation. So if it is a vehicle, I'm just curious why we haven't heard about it. If it's not a vehicle, why don't we have a bit more of a firm location? I mean, we've got a border that they're talking about, a border that spans a good chunk of this state here between Floyd and Polk. You could see it right here. Another concern, we can see that Floyd is pressed right up against the border for the state. So is there some potential, especially if we are talking about a homicide situation, that she could have been moved out of state? There's some potential for that as well. Although some of the other information we're going to see kind of points quite literally in a different direction. But back to the details here. Additional information that we didn't quite get on the poster. Here they're saying she's 5'7", 180 pounds, has a right nostril piercing. You'll see that piercing in many of the photos that are down below. But also she has a tattoo on her left hand. I couldn't find a really solid picture of it. The one that's on screen right now has a little bit of it. You can see just right kind of close to where her thumb webbing is, there's a mark of a tattoo. I can't tell what it is, but it's that's the approximate location. You'll see that come up on the photos down below again. Police did say over the weekend they do believe foul play is involved in her disappearance, but have not yet found any evidence to make an arrest. Officials have not reported any information about any potential suspects at this time. As the time starts ticking by, we do get a little bit of an update here and some comments from the family. Once again, thank you, fox5atlanta.com. 32-year-old Floyd County mother not heard from for nearly 2 weeks. Jackie Leath and her family are desperately seeking information. Quote, "It's hurting all of us. It's day 12. Where is my sister? Leath last spoke with her sister early on February 24th. She tried video chatting with her later around 5 p.m., but she didn't pick up. So there's a video interview that goes with this as well. That's where we got some of the clips for the start of today's episode. Basically, in that video, Jackie says around 2 o'clock, she actually does make contact with Monisha, and they speak for a short period of time. Later, around 5 is when she tries to video chat her. She doesn't pick up, but then something kind of strange happens. Instead, her sister's husband called back. Now, I was kind of surprised when I hit this fact as well. I had already gone through her Facebook page. I didn't get the sense she was married. Actually, in the About section, it says that she's single. And just from looking through the photos, I really didn't see. I saw someone else that it looks like is an ex of hers that was basically talking about the fact that that he wasn't part of her life anymore, but it was after she had gone missing. I didn't really see anything to make me think that she had been recently married, but that's exactly what we're hearing from her sister here. So her husband calls back, and Jackie says, quote, "He called me back on her line off the phone and was saying she was in the store." So he's using her phone at that point. If we are talking about a situation where this is a worst case scenario, it could be that ping from that phone use, maybe that is where we're getting this kind of, they were last known to be close to that border or something like that. And maybe that explains why we don't necessarily have car information or something. But if there is, and I'm kind of jumping ahead with my thought here because I know there's some element of travel that happens in this case. Even having a starting point like a ping like that, couldn't we trace some cameras and get a glimpse of, like, don't we know what her vehicle is, what her husband's vehicle is? Can't we get some trace of understanding which vehicle they were in? We've got a pretty big indicator. I know I'm jumping ahead on this story all over you guys, but her husband gets arrested. So do they arrest him with the vehicle? Is it the same vehicle? Is there potentially evidence in that vehicle if we are talking about a homicide situation? But if nothing else, just back to this article, we know her phone is being used. We know her sister's trying to contact her. He calls back from that same phone. There's certainly some records and location information that would come up around that. Another quote from Jackie, around 6:30, I got a call from my niece's after school program. They were saying my sister did not come pick up the kids. That was pretty much a big warning indicator to her that something here was wrong. She said that her sister's life revolved around her 3 girls. The family have had little interaction with her sister's husband since her disappearance. We're going to find out there's probably a pretty good reason for that. Quote, "We just want my sister home. The girls, they're staying with me. They're crying for their mom every night." Speaking about her sister, Jackie said, "She has her moments where she gets into her feelings, but we know she isn't going to disappear by herself." There's another Facebook post that is frequently mentioned by these articles, and it's this one here from Jackie directly. We can see it's posted by Jackie Leath on February 25th. Right in the middle of it, some somewhat troubling information. She met this dude that's in the top right-hand corner. She's talking about this big photo down here and this guy in the photo back here. He goes by the name Joseph Jones, aka Joe. Last year, sometime, they became lovers and just recently got married. Well, it's come to find out they've been having problems. And I was telling my sister to let him go, too many red flags. I'm asking to please help my family and her 3 girls in prayers and help find my sister, Mo. We are really hurting from inside and out. Please, please help find my sister. So, yes, this is where we get the information. Certainly her husband, and from her sister's perspective, relationship probably not in the best shape. And we've got I feel like we're going down these check boxes of more cause for concern in terms of a possible domestic violence issue here. We get to just about a month after her disappearance. All we hear is GBI is still searching. really no additional updates. All the articles at this point are just spinning out that same information that we've already covered. But then we get to April, right in the middle of April, almost at the 2-month mark. Man charged with woman's murder after she disappears near Rome in February. And here is a picture of, yes, you guessed it, Joseph Leroy Jones, 30 years old, and he has been arrested. He was initially arrested on February 25th on unrelated charges. Now, they're not saying what any of those charges are, but thinking back to Jackie's comment about, hey, the family hasn't had a lot of contact with this person, Monisha went missing on February 24th. On February 25th, this guy is in custody. He's been arrested. I'd be really curious. I'm kind of surprised they haven't talked about what the initial charges are, but the GBI confirmed that Jones is now being charged with the murder, aggravated assault by strangulation, and aggravated stalking in connection to Leath. Couple of interesting things to take from that. First of all, the aggravated stalking, it makes me wonder, especially after reviewing her Facebook, if maybe they did, or maybe she was planning on breaking up with him. She had gone through and kind of scrubbed him out of Facebook. The picture that was shown by her sister, I don't know if this is another account for Monisha or if this is actually one of his accounts, but you can see the name is different on it. So I'm not 100% sure. Monisha's account, I'm telling you, you would never know that she was married to this guy. I don't think he shows up in any pictures on her account at all. So I'm wondering about that aggravated stalking. Was there potentially maybe she told him it's over, and then the conversation went bad from there, something along those lines. But I'm also curious, we don't know where she is. And we're getting not just the murder charge, which we do know that there's no body homicides cases that are processed that way. It's becoming more and more frequent, it seems like, recently. But an aggravated assault by strangulation, where is that information coming from? How would they know that they have that charge? And I'm just thinking, about earlier this week, we were talking about the Brittany Drexel case, and you had someone that actually came forth with a confession in there. Do we have something like that? Do we have him talking about it in jail while he's filed on these unrelated charges, and they've got a little kind of jailhouse informant that then flips that information back out to law enforcement? I'm really curious where this charge is coming from, that level of detail. How do they know about that strangulation? The GBI has not revealed how Leath was killed or if her body has been found. Well, I mean, we can assume based on the charge here about the strangulation, but it's interesting. Very quickly, they kind of clear this up. There's other news agencies that report on it, and they're being clear that her body has not been recovered. As a matter of fact, here, once again, at Fox 5 Atlanta, the GBI say that they have connected 30-year-old Joseph Leroy Jones with the disappearance of 32-year-old Monisha Leath. Jones has been in custody in the DeKalb County Jail since February 25th, when he was arrested on unrelated charges in Thompson, Georgia. So we get another area of Georgia. We'll pull that up on the map in a second. But here you can get a confirmation. Leath's body has still not been recovered. And this was literally reported the same day. So I think it was just that an earlier news source didn't get a confirmation on it. Thompson is actually close to Augusta. And like I was saying earlier, it's pretty much in the exact opposite direction. So what I have lined up here on the map is Cedartown, which is where they were living together, reportedly. Rome, where they're saying the disappearance occurred. And then where he's arrested is about a 3-hour drive away, pretty far east. And if we kind of look at the state map here, you can see he's almost at the border into South Carolina, So honestly, and we don't know, like, did they get him on the way out there? Could he have crossed the border, come back, and then he was arrested? For raising exposure to this case, we got to get Georgia, we got to get Alabama, we got to get South Carolina. I think there's really high probability that there could have been a quick jump across a border. And knowing that systems like NamUs don't have any profile built for her yet. And yes, by the way, I will be contacting them and just checking to see if sometimes they have profiles, they just don't turn them public. I just want to make sure there's a profile over there, because if they find an unidentified body in South Carolina or in Alabama, that might not necessarily get connected with this case that is coming out of Atlanta. So that's kind of what I'm concerned about when I see the distance that's traveled. And in one day, this guy basically shoots to the other side of the state. I don't know if there's other reasons for him to go out there. I don't know if he's got family in that area or a support system of some kind. But a lot of concerns when you see this type of distance covered. And then, of course, you're thinking, where along this path could she be? And who along this path might have seen something, might have some helpful information. That's why I really wish we had a car description. I feel like we've done an episode, I know earlier this year, we talked about another case with a similar situation. And thankfully, we got a car description pretty quick after that. But here at WRGAnews.com, I just want to give you the full release that happened with the statement from the GBI. GBI agents have charged Joseph Leroy Jones, age 30, with murder, aggravated assault by strangulation, and aggravated stalking in connection to Monisha Leath's death. She was reported missing on February 24th, and the Cedartown Police Department asked the GBI to assist with the investigation. Her body has not been recovered. Jones was taken into custody on Friday, February 25th, 2022, in Thompson, Georgia, on unrelated charges. He was subsequently taken to the DeKalb County Jail, where he remains in custody. So this is like really fast movement with, Cedartown asked the GBI to assist on the day that she's reported missing, which once again leads you to, there might have been something else in the initial call for the missing persons report that we're not hearing, something that triggered them to, this case might be a little more serious, because we've talked about it on the channel many, many times. We know that most missing persons investigations kind of solve themselves within a matter of a few days, sometimes up to a few weeks. But here you have the local police jumping right in, reaching out to GBI. I don't know if GBI tracking him is part of how we get to the arrest that happens in Thompson, or if Thompson police arrest him completely for something else, and then he's just sitting in jail when all of a sudden all these pieces connect and they're like, oh, we've already got him in custody, but he's over on the other side of the state. There's a bunch of detail that's missing in this story, unfortunately. I also want to note on this page here, we have a mugshot here from a previous arrest. I kind of went looking for records on him. Couldn't find too much outside of something thanks to someone over at Web Sleuths, which we're about to cover in a moment. But take a good look at this photo, because it's going to be a little important for understanding that other record that we're going to get to. Over at polktoday.com, they put it quite simply, where is Monisha? That's a question that investigators are seeking the answer to, even after charging a suspect with murder. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation and the Cedartown Police Department are still searching for the body of a missing woman. Cedartown Police Chief Jamie Newsom said the investigation remains ongoing and police are still asking for the public's help in finding Leath. Chief Newsom, please help the public help you. Release the information that will enable them to help you. They need some form of understanding, either potential areas where they might have been in, the vehicle. It's really the vehicle is the first thing in my mind. If they're in a vehicle, let's just get the description of that vehicle out, and then we can be talking to the public saying, hey, look, we've got this path right across the center of Georgia where we're looking for this type of vehicle. Unfortunately, we can't quite do that in today's episode. Both Jones and Leath were reportedly residing in Cedartown at the time of her disappearance. She was reported missing on February 24th. The Cedartown Police Department asked the GBI to assist, and then he's taken into custody the next day. I can't think that that's a coincidence. It might be. It might be. It just seems kind of, I don't know, like they call in the GBI. We know that there's some cell phone activity that they might be able to trace. And literally the next day, the guy's arrested. They do say on unrelated charges, so maybe it's something else. Maybe he was speeding through the area and he got pulled over. But if he was, would that have turned into an arrest automatically? Probably not, unless it was something severe. I don't even know if they arrest you for reckless driving, like 25 over the limit, which in Georgia, it might be different. I'm not sure. I'm just kind of frustrated because there's components to this story that are missing that I don't know that would really help the investigation, but there's really big components to this story that are missing that I'm pretty confident would help the investigation, especially when you're talking about a missing person and you're already charging someone with their murder. Like, I don't know. So at Reddit, someone did make a post about this case. No one responded to it. It's kind of the same trend that we've been seeing when it comes to media around this case. And honestly, as good as Fox 5 did with their coverage on it, there's a bunch of articles that I just removed from today's coverage because they were literally just echoing the same few points from the press release that came out of the police department. There was just no additional information, no kind of investigative reporting that's really going on with this. Over at websleuths.com, which by the way, I just noticed kind of did a little update on their graphics. I think it looks cool. Nancy Drew RN, a well-known member there, added this comment. I noticed this potentially unrelated news article from January. I will note that Monisha lists herself as living in Cave Springs on Facebook. Her sister references Monisha's husband as having this name, and Monisha is pictured with 3 children on social media. Why is she so concerned about this news article? Here it is. Cave Spring man arrested after domestic altercation. And this is from January 24th, 2022, exactly 1 month before Monisha disappears. I wanted you to remember that photo because check this out. It's the same photo. So I know that the web sleuther had a little bit of a question of, I'm not 100% sure if this is the same guy. We have other news sources that are basically using this photo. So I think that's a pretty solid confirmation here. Joseph Leroy Jones, 30, of Cave Spring, was arrested this week after reports said he attacked his wife in front of their children. Reports stated that Jones grabbed the arms of his wife before shoving her into a wall. The action resulted in a picture frame being broken. Police added that the couple's 3 children witnessed the altercation. Jones is charged with simple battery. I mean, we already have cause for concern when you have family members saying, I don't think this relationship was going great. Now we see that there was a charge from a month prior. Was this part of the fuel to add to the fire of their relationship? Was there a court date coming up for this charge? I don't know. I don't know. But very, very big cause for concern here. And I haven't seen a direct description, but I believe since some of the news agencies were using this photo, and we know this is for January 24th's charge, I've also been seeing this photo. I think this photo might be for the current arrest. So this is probably more what he looks like now. And honestly, for trying to help in this case, like just trying to think what information can I get out there that would be most helpful, it's the pictures down below, the location information, and this picture. Like, we're looking for these people, basically, because we don't have the vehicle description. Likely in Georgia, but possibly in the surrounding states as well. If you saw something with these people that maybe is sticking out in your memory, specifically from February 24th, 2022, you want to pick up the phone, you want to call the GBI with that information using the number that's on the screen right now. With such limited information, I think that's the best that we can do. This is where you can help. First of all, if you could just take a moment, a second, and click the like button on this video. I know this sounds really stupid, but this is how YouTube works. The more likes the video has, the more that people are going to see it. We need that to happen. But more importantly than that, think about, do I have any friends, acquaintances, people that I can send this video to in that particular area? We're talking all of Georgia. We're talking Alabama. We're talking South Carolina. I think that's really the main striking point for trying to raise awareness to this case and maybe finding that person that has the information that can help. Yes, we know that there's murder charges, but you know, those no body homicide cases, they don't always get prosecuted very easily. Who knows if a grand jury is even going to indict in this case? when you don't have a body there. Of course, man, I would really love to think that there's a possibility that Monisha is still out there somewhere waiting to be found alive and unharmed. But with the information that law enforcement's giving us, it's not looking that way. So we really got to find another way to enable the public to be helpful in this case. I'm doing the best I can here with the very limited information we have. Please help me. Take that extra step. Share this with people in that area, and let's see if we can get that tip called in. A big thank you to everyone that supports us here on the channel. We always run limited commercials. You might see one at the start, you might see one at the end. We never interrupt you during the middle of the presentations because we want to make sure you're getting all the information and that you don't skip away because you're stuck in a 5-minute commercial that YouTube jammed in there. Obviously, we can't do that without the support of a bunch of caring people. A big thank you to new patrons Sarah Cordilla, Viviana L. Also, thank you to Barbara T., friend of the channel. She increased her pledge recently over on Patreon. If you want to help support the channel, visit lordandarts.com where you can sign up for Patreon, sign up for PayPal, buy merchandise, or even buy us a coffee like Michelle Dominique recently did. Michelle also signed up to follow us on Coffee, which you can do. And that way, every now and then, it could be a little reminder for, helping to support the channel again. Thank you so much, Michelle. And thanks to everyone that helps us do this. I can't think what this family's going through knowing this information. And I want to help. That's where I'm at with it. And I can't do that without you guys. So I really, really appreciate each and every one of you out there that takes the time to do these extra steps that we talk about at the end of these videos. Take care, everyone. Have a safe weekend. We'll be back on Monday with a brand new episode of Case Cracked right here on the Lord and Arts channel.